Good morning, students. Let's start chapter 5, The 100 Dresses, part 1. It is written by E.L. Bros Esther. Her full name was Eleanor Esther. She born in on May 9, 1906. She was died in July 15, 1988. She was an American children author, means she's writing the stories for the children. And at that time, she was working as a librarian also in the children library, in the children book. Her book, Ginger Pie, that is also written by her, and it is for the children also, for the children only, which she has also created the illusions for and won the Newbery Medal at that time. So now we can discuss about the story of the 100 dresses. It's a very interesting and touching story. The 100 dresses is divided into two parts, first and second. It's a story based on the true experience of the author about the girl who is teased by her classmates because she is different, Venda Petronsky, a girl who comes from the poor part of the town, is the only student in her class with a funny Polish name. The story is told from the perspective of one of the Venda's classmates, Maddie, who is the best friend of the main player in the daily taunting and teasing. So now we will start the chapter. Today, Monday, Venda Petronsky was not in her seat, but nobody know, not even Peggy and Madeline, the girl who started all the fun, noticed her absent. Usually, Venda sat at the seat next to the last seat in the last row in room 13. She sat in the corner of the room where the rough boys who did not make good marks sat. The corner of the room where there was the most snuffling to feed most roars of laugh when anything funny was said, the most mud and dirt on the floor. Vanda did not sit there because she was rough and noisy. On the contrary, she was very quiet and rarely said anything at all, and nobody had ever heard her laugh out loud. Sometimes she twisted her mouth into the corked sort of a smile, but that was all. So here the writer wants to describe about the Vanda and her life. He said that how she lives and sit in the class. The stories revolve around the Vanda Petronsky, who is a poor and does not have any friend in the class, and that is why in the room number 13 she was seated at the very last of the seat, where most of the boys, those who are not did not get a good marks, they are also sitting there. But actually she is very quiet, and she's not making noise, and very rarely she's smiling for the something in happen in the class, but she's not reacting on anything. But she was seated in the very last because she don't have a friend, and because the other classmate of her was bullying and just making her fun. That is why she did not sit there with the other girls or in the front of the benches. Nobody knew exactly why Venda sit in the seat, unless it was because she came all the way from the Boggins height and her feet were usually cracked with the dry mud. But no one really thought much about Venda Petronsky once she sat in the corner of the room. The time when they thought about Venda was outside of school hours at noon time, when they were coming back to school, or in the morning early before school begins, when group of two or three or even more, would be talking and laughing on their way to the school. So here the writer wants to say about that the friends, not a friend, but the classmate of her was making fun of her. She was coming from the Boggins Height, where the poor peoples was resided, and she is coming from there, and her cracks, her feet was not usually cracked. Means writer wants to say she is not from very good family, not looking so much good, but but nobody think about her. But the girls, those who are in her class, they are teasing to her in the morning also when she come from there on the way of the school, and when she is going back to her home, the girls was making fun of her dress, fun of her hairs, likewise that. So that is why she was doesn't like all that thing. Then something they waited for the Venda to have fun for her. The next day, Tuesday, Venda was not in the school. So here the writer of the story wants say that no one can take care that she's coming or not. But what happened? Continuously, the girls, those who are teasing her, they are noticing that she's not coming. So at that time, she noticed about her, but nobody can notice her absence or presence in the class. But on the Wednesday, Peggy and Maddie, who sat down front with the other children who got good marks and who did not track in the whole lot of mud, did notice that Venda wasn't there. Peggy was the most popular girl in the school. She was pretty, she had many pretty clothes, and her hair was curly. Mary was her closest friend. The reason Peggy and Mary noticed Venda's absence was because Venda had them late to school. They had waited her. So what happened after 2 3 days? The Peggy and Mary. Here the writer describe about the Peggy that Peggy belongs a very good, very famous in her class. She have a good clothes also. She have a good hairs also. So that is why she was popular there. And her friend Maidie is also with her. They both have seated on the front benches of the class because they got the good marks and they are looking very good. So both of the girls was just missing the Venda from the third day because she's not coming from the Monday. But they are waiting her for outside to making the fun of her. But from last 2 days, though, these are not doing anything like that. So that is why they missed her. That is why they noticed that Venda is not coming in the school. So here the writer wants to describe that Vanda Petronsky, most of the children in the room 13 did not have name like that. They had name easy to say like Thomas, Smith, Allen. There was one boy named Bounce, Valley Bounce, and the people thought that was funny, but not funny in the same way Petronsky was. Vanda did not have any friend. She came to the school alone and went home alone. She always wore a faded blue dress that did not hang right. It was clean, but it looked as though it had never been ironed properly. She did not have any friends, but a lot of girls talked to her. Sometimes they surrounded her in the schoolyard as she stood watching the little girls playing hopscotch on the worn hard ground. Venda Peggy would say in the most courteous manner, as though she were talking to Miss Mason Venda. She had say given one of her friend a nude. Tell us, how many dresses did you say you had hanging up in your closest? So what happened? She was just alone because no one of her friend, and she migrated from the Polish, so her name is very different from the other Americans, and she took the admission in the American school. So the other girls, those who are there, they are just making fun of her name. Many times they are asking about her dress. She always wore a faded blue dress, which is not properly ironed, but it is clean. Peggy and Peggy is deliberately teased to Venda by asking how many dresses she has owned. So because she wants to make her to want to show her that you are wearing always the same dress and you don't have another dress. Actually, sometimes Venda was just passing the time. She was standing there making a that she was seeing the other girls, those who are playing, and she think about her friends or all that thing. At the time where the Peggy, Maddie, and her some of the friend went there, and they are just making fun of the Venda. One day they asked to Venda that about her dresses, that how many dresses she have. So she replied that I have 100 dresses of different colors, different silk, different design. She was very much confident at that time when she replied that thing.